perhaps I will give you a 6-word phrase. Summarize. I think what I've learned is the 6 words would be hang on, keep going, be ready. Hang on, it will come to pass. Things will go back to normal. Don't worry. Keep going. Don't give up. Don't do too much of a knee-jerk reaction, if possible. And be ready for normalization. Because I mean, you look at the 19th century Spanish flu, 50 million people around the world died. 50 million. We are in a much better environment, condition, scientifically and medically more advanced. We will get through this. So we should not look at the problem up to the tip of our nose and forget to see ahead, because that will be very, very dangerous. And then when the thing comes back, you are not ready. So that's my little phrase.
That's a rather optimistic take on it, and the assumptions here are that things will return to a normal that you are familiar with, but it might not. It could be a normal that you will still have little control over. And I also feel that sometimes you may want to look ahead, but you still have to go through the stuff that's right in front of you, right?
Sure.
So relating Edwin's point to a future normal to real estate, the next normal might be that convention and exhibition centers got to be radically downsized. And the next normal might be that because we are now forced to use apps so much, we are carrying shopping malls in our mobile phones, that retail shop space, unless you are selling a service at your retail shop, you are a hairdresser, you are selling F&B services, that actually retail shop space could be shrunk by, 20%, and nobody would know that it has gone. So that if we could anticipate what is the normal to get ready for, then yes, let's all get thinking along that line, right? But I think the ground and the fundamentals continue to shift. So to anticipate what might be the normal that we would return to, I'm still struggling with that.
So I obviously don't want to undermine this optimistic note that Edwin and I think it is for our own mental health and the mental health of society in general. It is important that we have an optimistic take on how things will unfold. With the caveats, of course, that Kanan, you said, that we still have to deal with the present reality. My take on this has been reasonably consistent over the past year or so, which is that the pandemic has, if anything, ultimately accelerated a number of trends that were already in the process of unfolding. So international economists in particular have often argued that the world had been, ever since the 07-08 financial crisis, had been seeing a period of relatively decelerated globalization, both in terms of international trade in goods and services, as well as international capital flows. What the pandemic did, of course, was put a death knell on the third important flow, which was the flow of labor, as well as migratory flows, both temporary in the form of tourism, as well as more permanent. And some of these are unlikely to completely reverse. I think there is a greater sense of a localization. There's a sense in which we need to shorten and build more resilient supply chains. And even at micro level, something that Swee Yong mentioned, in terms of housing, commercial real estate, I think, will never, well, never is a very strong word, but commercial real estate looks to have quite a different future from what we mentioned earlier on, which is the picture for residential real estate. So these are all certainly things that I think will continue to evolve in the years ahead, that were in some ways a function of what had unfolded over the course of the past 2 years since COVID visited us. And in that sense, I think it's important that we then take this trend seriously and not just take them seriously, but also plan for a future where these trends may potentially be with us for an extended period of time. My view is that some of the mega infrastructure projects that we have thought about here in this country, including expansion of our airport to a new phase, including the expansion of our seaport. These may be something that we need to consider whether we want to scale back on some of those ambitions, especially the airport. The seaport, you could argue, global shipping did collapse, but then, if anything, in more recent times has picked up in a fairly robust fashion. So I think these are certainly things that we have to look at in total as we look to the years ahead.